Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Never Split Up podcast, episode 21. My name's Nolan, that's Anthony, and today we are covering Oculus, the supernatural psychological horror movie released in 2013, directed by Mike Flanagan. It was really his first big release. We know Mike Flanagan from a bunch of different stuff now. How you doing today, Anthony?
I'm doing great. I fucking love Mike Flanagan, so let's go.
Yeah, he's really cemented himself in horror circles with
He's one
his
of the GOAT's
shows and
horror
his
directors.
movies. Yeah,
Yep, these
yeah.
days, like a modern GOAT of horror. He's so
hmm
awesome. Love him. Emotional, like emotional horror that just gets me in the feels every time.
hmm I love him too, and we figured we start with Oculus right at the beginning. And it was I hadn't seen this movie in quite a while, and doing this rewatch was actually pretty cool because you see glimpses of the future with Flanagan and his other projects, like how this movie relies heavily on the back and forth between the
Major
younger
haunting of Hill
versions of the
House
character.
vibes.
Yeah,
Major
exactly.
haunting of Hill House
Yeah,
vibes. Yeah.
I was just getting there. Yeah,
Even
you
the
stepped
look
on
of the
my toes. Now I'm
ghost.
just kidding.
Even the look of the ghost. Even the
Oh
look of the
yeah,
ghost. Yeah.
true. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so
I
it was
actually
cool
didn't
to
think
see
about
that.
that until I watched it last night. I was like, oh wow, hints of Hill House, like ghost vibes.
hmm
How they're
Oh
just
yeah.
standing in the window and all that. Very cool.
Well, I haven't seen this movie since I watched Hill House. This is my first rewatch since I watched Hill House. So
Think same here.
watching this
Same
movie
here, I think.
after the fact, yeah, really picked
And
up
I
on it.
watched Hill
So
House like several times because it's fucking Hill House.
yeah, I can't. I know. Me and Jackie, we've never watched it together. We both watched it independently. We want to do a rewatch of
Okay.
that, but yeah, Mike Flanagan, he's one of the modern goats for sure. But why don't we get into some housekeeping here? We'll announce the winner of the poll from last week, the Babysitter Killer Queen. Go check that out, guys. It was a fun episode, nice quick episode. We did our
First
Never
sequel
Split
we
Up
covered
poll.
too. Yep.
Mm-hmm. First ever sequel, and we made it to 20 episodes. This is episode 21, so congrats on us there.
We're still here.
We're still here. Yeah, we're going strong. Thanks to our listeners and everyone who supported us. But the winner was Anthony once again. He's on a little bit of a roll, a little bit of a streak. So when we do our poll at the end of this movie, he can go first, and then let him pick who goes first for the review score. You can pick that. So anything else? Anything to go over before we dive into Oculus?
I think we're yeah, no, I think we're good. Let's get into Oculus. I'm excited to talk about this one. Like I said, we both haven't seen it in a while, so I was very amped up to do my rewatch. I know I texted you. I'm like, yes, I'm rewatching
Mm-hmm.
Oculus. Can't wait. So let's get into this. I'm excited.
Awesome.
Want me to
Yeah,
give
why
like a
don't you?
plot breakdown and all that?
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So like you said, this is actually a 2013 movie. They released it at Toronto International Film Festival in 2013, but it was picked up for distribution, so we got to see it, in theaters in like spring of 2014. That's when it was released wide to us. Um,
Oh,
Director
okay.
Mike Flanagan, this is the start of. It's actually he made a short film back in. I actually watched the special features because I have the Blu-ray, so you know I do that.
Oh,
So
cool.
in 2005, he was working as a freelancer because he just wanted to get in the industry. He wanted to be a horror director, and he didn't have any funding, so he made a little short film. It was called Oculus Chapter 3: The Man with the Plan. So this is based off his short film from 2005. He took certain elements from that and he made it into this movie. So I thought that was really cool. I heard about that when it came out, but yeah, it was cool to actually see it in the special features. But so the plot of this one is, a woman tries to exonerate her brother, who is convicted of murder, by proving that the crime was committed by a supernatural phenomenon. And like I said, Mike Flanagan, director,
I don't
writer.
re- just real quick. I don't necessarily agree with that synopsis. Um, she's trying to exonerate really like
Her
her dad
well, her I think her
and her
family, really
parents,
her
both
family
of
in
her
general.
parents.
I think
I
and
mean,
her
the
brother.
guy has already been released
Right.
at this point, her brother.
Well,
So
I think
like
it's really like
she's
because people
trying to
still look at
rectify and
him.
prove
Right.
that her parents weren't
Right.
crazy and
Right.
that they're not crazy. It's not really about exonerating her brother because her brother is a free man at this point. So I
Yeah,
don't
but he
really
has that on his
technically.
like. The people look at him like he's guilty. Like
Yeah,
he's
I get that,
guilty.
but
He's guilty,
yeah,
but not. I
no,
think
I
she's
get
trying to
that. But she
exonerate.
even
Like
mentions in the movie, she like we're trying to prove that our parents
right.
weren't crazy.
Right.
So
He
yeah,
goes back. He's like it's like the family line. She's pretty much trying to make her family line be clear of any
Hmm.
murderous tendencies. Um, so yeah, like I said, Mike Flanagan directed it. He wrote it with Jeff Howard and Jeff Seidman, and we have the score in Mike Flanagan's movies, man. We have the Newton brothers who have stuck with him since Oculus for the most part, and I cannot wait till we cover Doctor Sleep because whew, the score in that movie. But yeah. So what are your overall thoughts of Oculus?
Oculus, hmm, it's weird because we were talking about before we started recording. It's a dark movie, but it's also not. I don't consider it a super scary movie. So I actually think this is a decent movie. And then just real quick, spoiler warning. We're gonna get into spoilers now.
Oh yeah,
So if you haven't listened to the podcast, these reviews, we go full in to spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie, definitely watch it first and then come back. But I think this movie is actually a pretty good. I guess the right word would be gateway for people that aren't like super into horror already because it's dark, but it's not super scary. And at least to me, I don't know if you feel differently. So it's a good way for people to get used to like that dark, unsettling, tense movie without it being too much. And I mean, the ending is talk about dark and that's it doesn't get much darker than the ending, which we'll cover. But my overall thoughts are it's a cool movie. I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen it in a while, so there were certain things that I forgot about watching it, and certain techniques. Like I said, I saw certain techniques that he used that I've seen in Hill House and I've seen in other movies. So that was cool. It's definitely the Mike Flanagan touch he puts on this, even though it was his first movie. You could tell it was a Mike Flanagan movie, like you said, with the score and everything. I actually thought the highlight for me, real quick before you go over your overall thoughts, was the kids, the two kids. The actress and actor are Annalise Basso and
oh
Garrett
yeah, I didn't
Ryan.
cover that.
I thought they were the standouts of the movie. They really did a great job with their roles playing the younger versions of Kaylee and Tim. I don't know how you feel, but I thought they were cool. And then obviously Katie Sackhoff and what's his name, Rory Cochrane or Cochran.
Yeah,
I don't know
the
if I'm
dad,
pronouncing that right.
Alan, the dad. Yeah,
He's super creepy, the dad. So I actually really enjoyed the flashback scenes a lot. I thought they were really well done.
cool. Yeah, the Annalise Basso who plays young Kaylee, she's actually a repeat Mike Flanagan. Because she's also in. He directed the prequel to Ouija Origin of Evil. Talk
Hmm.
about turning a franchise around because the first Ouija wasn't that good, but the prequel was.
Hmm.
I mean, it's Mike Flanagan. It's fucking awesome. But so yeah, she was in that too, and he directed that. Cool. So you think it's a cool little supernatural unsettling movie?
Yeah, it's a suspense. It fucks with your mind. I mean, that's the whole premise. It's fucking with you. You don't know what's real, what's not real.
Right.
It's definitely a fun, cool little movie, and then it takes that, and then it just fucking dumps you with that dread at the end, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, if you've never seen this movie, your mouth's gonna be open at the end. You're gonna be like, that's how it ended. Holy fuck! Like that's
Yeah.
depressing. Yeah. It's not.
Awesome.
It's funny because he like kind of flips it because like the whole vibe of the movie, like it was released in 2013, so we got a lot of these like supernatural movies, and a lot of these movies have happier endings. And the whole vibe of the movie, like if you hadn't seen it before, I could see you like thinking like, all right, like they're gonna figure it out, they're gonna get the proof, they're gonna like make it out, and then they don't, and it's fucked up, man. I love it. I personally love it, but some people it's not going to be for everyone.
Cool. All right, so I guess I'll go.
What
So I
about
think
you?
it's funny
Yeah.
how you say like this is a good gateway horror. I just want to warn
Hmm.
people that this is a supernatural horror film, but it's not. And I love these other. It's not the Insidious, Conjuring, fun Friday night jump scare supernatural horror film. This is like a pretty has some pretty dark themes. It's more. It's not concerned about jump scares. It's concerned about. You said the
Hmm.
word unsettling you and creeping up on you and just building and building this sense of dread throughout. It's really about the sense of dread. So if you're going into this expecting your typical, Friday night jump scare fest, like this one isn't for you. This is about the characters, which is why I love Mike Flanagan because and you know how I think you see a pattern with me. I love characters, and Mike Flanagan likes to make character driven stories. That's why I love him so much. And this movie is literally about the family, and it's all about the characters. Um, I love this. I really enjoy this movie. I won't say I love it. I think it's really, 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 really good. I really enjoy it. And we know by now also I love my dark, unsettling endings. And fuck, I always
Mhm.
say it really matters how a movie leaves you. And fuck, this movie gets me every time. That ending. Oh, I love this ending. We'll get into it when we break it down. But yeah, I love the ending. And for me, the MVP of this movie is motherfucking Katie Sackhoff. Murders
Mhm.
murders
Oh
this
yeah.
movie. Anyone who thinks she's just the woman who's in all these sci-fi shit, watch this movie. She has the acting prop. She is so good. She gives such a physical performance. She's excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. I feel bad for her and I'm scared for her. Scared of her at the same time. She's so
Mhm.
good. Um we have Karen Gillan in this. Now she's a big star. Um, Brenton Thwaites, he's the brother, the adult version. I think he's really good. I actually have my issues with Kaylee, the character, as an adult, but we'll get into it.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
um, but yeah, I really, 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 I mean, and I also love about Mike Flanagan in this movie. I don't like movies that like the Oscar movies that like hit you on the head with like messages and themes. He has
Mhm.
that. Like in this movie, it's really about, if you want to watch it as just like an unsettling, creepy hour and 40-minute horror movie, you can do that. But if you want to look into it a little bit more, you can see like the allegories on like domestic violence and child abuse and mental illness that runs in the family. He has all those themes spread out, but it's not shoved down my throat. Like if I want to take that out of it, I can, but I don't have to. And I love when filmmakers trust the audience enough to know they're smart enough to see what they're trying to do rather than like, all right, bang me on the head. This is the message, blah, blah, blah. So I love that about this movie. Um, and I just love that it's about the darkness of this family. And like, we don't know, is it really happening or is it in their head? Are they mentally ill or is this mirror
Yeah.
really taking over and doing this? And I love that that's the mission of this movie. And really quick, I just want to, because I watched this again, I watched the special features, and Mike Flanagan said that mirrors always freaked him out. And I love how he said there, every reflection we encounter in a mirror, it's distorted in its own little ways, but we assume it's reality. I'm like, oh, that's fucking creepy. That's really creepy that he said that. And he said the Jewish community, they actually prevent spirits of the deceased from coming back into the world by covering mirrors. So I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know that. And I want to say again what he says about the ending when we get to it, but I love what he says about the ending. But I'll hold that until we get to the ending. But yeah, I really like this movie. I really, 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 really enjoy it. I don't love it because I have a nitpick. I like the parallels that they do, that they go back and
Mhm.
forth between the past and the present because it fucks with our mind too. I just wish once we got to like the last night in the past, they let that play out to build a sense of dread until the end, and then we could go to the present to build. Like I know I liked how they did the ending. Once we got to the very end, I liked how they flashed. You know where I'm going with Tim in the past and present. I love the very end flashing between him in the
Yeah.
past and present. But I think the last night with like Katie Sackhoff going crazy and the husband going crazy, I wish we almost like stood on that because I wanted to get more of that fright, like just nonstop tension. But we kept going back and forth, so that ruined the tension a little bit. If you know what I'm trying to say. But other than
Yep.
that, I really, 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 really love this movie, and I mean, it's Mike Flanagan. If you want to know Mike Flanagan, watch this movie and you'll see a theme throughout all of his movies. He carries over.
Mhm.
Really good movie. I think it's a really good supernatural movie for people who want a little more than your Friday night jump scares, if that makes sense. Yeah.
No, yeah, and just going back, I'm glad you brought that up. How it's not like the typical popcorn horror with the jump scares. Um, I guess gateway wasn't the right word.
I know what
I'm
you're trying to
saying
say. I know.
this is a good movie for people that do watch those popcorn movies and do like those jump scares, but they want to take their horror a
Maybe move it
little
up
bit
a
to the
step.
next level.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is a good gateway to kind of step it up a notch because it's not like it is intense and it's depressing and
And I
it
love
touches on
depressing
all
horror.
those it touches on all those things you said, but it doesn't go. I mean, I've seen some really dark
Oh yeah,
twisted
yeah.
movies. It doesn't go to that level. So I think this is a good way for people that like the major, the
Right.
Conjurings and the Annabelles to, if they really wanted to get more into horror, you're going to see familiar faces, so it's not too much of a
Right.
barrier. Like, it's a good stepping stone to really kind of take you to the next
I
level.
always
So,
say I would show someone a Mike Flanagan horror movie if they're like, every like supernatural horror movie we see is just like the typical jump out, pop out. I'm like, okay, watch fucking Oculus, watch Doctor, like watch one of these movies and tell me that horror is just, which I love. I love the jump scare, but tell me horror isn't trying to say
mhm,
something. Watch a Mike Flanagan movie. So that's what I would tell the people who bitch about horror is just like cheap scares because it's not. I would recommend
yeah,
this movie to people like that.
hmm, yeah, definitely.
Cool. I'm very, but yeah, I do have my issues with my girl Kaylee, Karen Gillan,
Yeah.
fucking bitch,
Cool.
dog.
Let's jump into it then.
All
I
right,
know you're
so
gonna
yeah,
let me
we're
know
just
that.
gonna go. Let's just because this movie's very like it runs on two timelines throughout, so we can't. It's hard to break it down because it's always infusing. That's the point of the movie, like altering
Mhm.
reality. So let's just go like really what we enjoy about it, what we don't, and then I really want to get into the ending, like hardcore. Let me get through the cast first, though. Let's do the cast. So Karen Gillan plays adult Kaylee. You said Annalise Basso plays young Kaylee. We have Brenton Thwaites, he plays adult Tim, and then we have Garrett Ryan who plays young Tim. Katie Sackhoff is the mom Marie, fucking awesome. Rory Cochran's a dad Alan. We have James Lafferty who plays Kaylee's fiance.
Yes.
Anyone who watches One Tree Hill knows him as Nathan from One Tree Hill. I know your
Yeah.
fiance is a big fan.
Yes.
So he has a good little part in this. We have, of course, we can't forget about Mike Flanagan. We have to have Kate Siegel in a Mike Flanagan movie. She plays one of the ghosts, Marisol, in the mirror. So we have a good little cast and like I said, some repeat actors who are in other Mike Flanagan movies. So I think the cast is all very good. I don't like um, Kaylee as an adult, but Karen Gillan performs good. I think it's more just her character I have issues with.
Yeah. I think I would agree with that. Because when I first started this movie, for my rewatch, it kind of threw me off a bit, and I wasn't sure if it was Karen Gillan's performance.
It's not.
I thought it was at first, but then I realized, like, no, this is the character, and the
And I
character
get what they're
is
trying to
kind of
do
off putting. Yeah,
because she's been
she's
living with that
very
all these and she's trying to
yes,
prove the
yeah.
innocence of her family.
Yeah,
And she's
she
been
doesn't have
alone for all
time for
those
bullshit.
years.
She's
Right,
like on a
right,
mission. Like,
right,
let's fucking go. Like, she talks very fast.
right.
She really doesn't have any empathy for her brother. She's like, all right, we got a mission to
Which is my
finish. Like, you're out. Like,
yeah,
you had a promise. Like, let's
right.
fucking go.
I do love the
It's
promise part
very.
when they made it. I love how it come.
Mhm.
I love, but I get it because she's in a rush because she finally found the mirror because she works at an auction house or whatever. That's she's a manager there or whatever. Um, antique whatever it's called. But I just think that like, dude, like your brother was just discharged from a psychiatric hospital. Like, maybe don't throw all this shit on him. Like, and tell him to come to your childhood home right away. Like, yo, pump the brakes, girl.
She
And
couldn't wait, man.
I
She
know, but
could
like,
not wait a
she
single
throws all
day.
this shit on him. I'm like, this. I'm
I
like,
know.
Jesus. He just suppressed all of this trauma because he was like force fed that it didn't happen, and now it's like all coming back out.
Yeah.
Um, very interesting storyline though. So let's get in. So obviously, I think the when we're in the past, it's like 11 years prior to in the
Hmm.
present. Um, so the gist of it is obviously we find out that their parents are dead and that Tim was taken away because he shot his dad. So he was taken to a psychiatric hospital and he's been in there since that incident and he's finally released now and they reunite and Kaylee tells him, come to the house. She doesn't even say like he's like even when she's on the phone, she's like, come to the house. He's like, your house? She's like, no, the house. The family. She's crazy. She's crazy.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
so she has a fiance. She finds the mirror. She works in an auction antique place. Her plan is to bring the mirror back to their childhood home and record it so people can see that the mirror is playing tricks and altering reality, and it wasn't her mom and dad and brother who went crazy. And her plan is to eventually destroy the mirror, obviously, but she has to record it first, and she has to entice it to act out, and before she can do anything. So that's why she's in a hurry to do that. But the way she goes about it, I'm just like, eesh. I don't know how you feel.
No, yeah, I definitely have issues with the way, definitely with her logic and how to kind of capture it. There's a lot of things that make no sense.
Right,
Um, Mostly being that she has all of her like safeguards and timers in the room with the mirror. It's like the mirror
right.
can easily manipulate that. You know what I mean? Like it didn't make sense. Um, so yeah, she doesn't want to destroy the mirror. Like that's too
She
easy. It
can't
would
right
be a
away
movie.
because you have to
She,
see it act up.
mhm.
Right,
Yeah, she wants to prove that it's supernatural to
right.
everybody. And like you said in the synopsis, exonerate her brother, but more importantly, exonerate her parents and prove
Because
that
they can't exonerate
her and
themselves
her brother
anymore,
aren't
obviously.
crazy. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, I'm not a yeah, Kaylee. They don't really go into like what her upbringing was like. She touches on it with her brother, and she has a couple different lines, but we don't know what her situation was. If she was, I guess she was in foster care, or
Yeah, she had a
if
rough. I mean, obviously, she had a rough childhood. That was
relatives
a
took care.
traumatic.
Yeah. I mean, Tim definitely got the short end of the stick because he ended up in an actual psychiatric facility his entire life. I guess because he killed the dad, but if they're both
Yes.
saying the same story, you'd think that they would evaluate Kaylee too. Like if they're both in this delusion, but
No, his finger
that
was on
they
the
don't
trigger.
really touch on that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they don't really touch on that. So, I like what's his name? The guy who plays Tim, the older Tim?
Brenton Thwaites. I like him too. He's really good. He's like
Brenton
charismatic.
Thwaites. He does very well in this movie, and
I'm on
he
his
does
side
very
for a
good.
lot of it. Yeah. Like when he's going
What's
back and
that?
forth, I'm on his side. I'm like, you're making a lot of good
Oh
points. Like,
yeah,
get the fuck out of there,
yeah,
girl.
yeah. He's very good emotional face actor. Like he really conveys like I guess that's just acting in general, but
Yeah.
he's
Well,
very
he's
good
good though.
with like
His
he's
screams
very
at
good
the end get me
with
every
his
time. Every time.
yeah, like when he's going back and forth with Kaylee and he's like, you know, you gotta drop it. Like what the
Right.
fuck? Like
Because he
this
believes
is
like
you're go-
he's believed because he's been in a psychiatric hospital that no supernatural events happen because he suppressed it. So they're on
Mhm.
two different playing fields in the beginning of the movie. She's like, "This is what happened." He's like, "No, nothing happened." And he gives her a lot of like, "Mom and Dad, like, mom just went crazy." Like like they're both
Yeah.
believe two different things because he's was taught by these doctors, like put that away. It didn't happen. So it's a very cool
Yeah,
dynamic.
I don't know if suppress is the right word, but he's looking at the past differently than
Right.
Kaylee is.
Right.
And he's been told by the doctors that your memory is not like your mind is going to make up different things when you experience trauma, and to try to kind of compartmentalize them and realize that it doesn't mean anything supernatural is going on. So yeah,
Right.
he's definitely like the voice of reason. He's what I would be. I'm not like a firm believer in the supernatural in real life, so
I
I
am, but
kind
I'm
of
also
take
a
his
firm believer
side.
in like being smart, like having common sense. And she's like not about that. First of all, can we talk
No,
about dog? First of all, the poor dog doesn't even have a name. And she brings this dog to the house. It doesn't have a name, and she's just using it as bait. She puts it under in a crate under a fucking like towel or like a blanket or whatever. I'm like, this. First of all, fuck you. Like you're gonna abuse an animal just to get this mirror to act
yeah,
up. Fuck you.
I didn't get that. I thought that was
Because
unnecessary.
in the past we'll go so they move in the house in 2002 when they're young, and the dad has the mirror set up in the his office, so he really gets involved with the mirror first. You can tell he starts isolating himself. um, and then eventually the dog, one day the dad has to go out for a work meeting, and the mom starts gets upset because the dog's like pissing around the house and like barking, so she lets the dog in the office, and then they never find the dog again. So the mirror obviously like consumed the dog in the past.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
which I hate, guys. It's 2023. Can we get over this trope of like harming animals in movies?
I know but like she puts the dog in front of the mirror, and then they put the blanket over
I
the
know.
dog. Like I
Well,
don't know.
because
It's like, do you really
I
need to do that to
well, I
draw it
get
out?
that she has to
I
draw it
mean,
out, but like you two being there draws it out, in my
exactly. That's
opinion.
what I was about to
Like in
say.
front of there.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
just and I
Kind
do.
of
That's why I
unnecessary.
love Tim because he's like all you're do. He literally says all you're doing right now is like torturing this innocent animal. He like takes the dog and lets it out. I mean,
He
I don't
just
know where
like
the
lets
dog
it
fucking
run
ran,
out.
but I mean, I hope it didn't get hit by a car. But he let the dog out.
Yeah, I think he made it to a nice family.
Yeah, I always been like, oh, he got adopted and rescued.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, what are you like? What are you doing, girl? But I do love in that scene. Again, guys, it's hard to talk about this movie like in sequential order because it literally just is going back and forth the entire movie. So that's why we're kind of just like giving our thoughts out loud, just jumping
Uh-huh.
around because
Yeah, yeah.
that's what the movie does.
Hmm.
Um, but I do like after that scene where they go back and she's like, she sees that the plants because in the past the mom's plants started dying, so that was a sign of
Hmm.
shit happening. And I just love how um Kaylee, she had as adult Kaylee, she had the plants set up and she brought the dog, so that's how she can know when shit's starting. And we when they were having that argument after the dog scene, she looks in the room and she's like, oh shit, it's happening because the plants are dying. And then they go and look at the re-recording of the video because she's videotaping everything for proof. And you see them when they're talking and arguing in the video, they're doing stuff that we didn't see. They're like moving shit around because the mirror is making them do it. I love that. It's so clever. And then that's when Tim starts to realize, like, oh no, is this real? And another credit to his performance because he's like, he's in denial, but you can see like just from his like facial acting, he's like, oh shit, is this real or am I like going crazy
Hmm.
again? He's really good. He's really good in this movie. I do think that he's better than Karen Gillan, even though I love Karen Gillan because she's just doing a different type of performance because her character is different. But
Yeah.
I just do think he's bringing it a little more. It's more her character I don't like as an adult, but he's
Yeah, no,
bringing it.
I agree. There's
He's
definitely
bringing
more
it. Yeah,
layers to Tim because
right,
like I said, Tim got help and she even said like you got help. I
right,
was on my own. And
right.
like she
And I
really
do
needed
sympathize. I sympathize with her.
I sympathize, but she really needed professional like
Right.
therapy to deal with what happened. Whether or not it like the mirror is supernatural or not, like once Tim realizes something's going on, he's still not on the
Right.
level of Kaylee because he's come to terms with the fact that his parents were not like that his dad was probably cheating on his mom. Like he's moved past that in his life because he had help to do that. And Kaylee is so stuck in the past, and
She's
like you said,
determined.
she's
Right.
willing to sacrifice a dog who she doesn't even name the dog. Like that's how
Bitch.
cold
Yeah.
she is about like life because she's on one mission.
Well, you could
I don't
even
even know
say
how she
she's
has this
willing to
amazing
sacrifice
fiance,
her
Michael.
brother
That
and
guy's
herself
yeah,
because she's
I
back in
know.
that house with the mirror, and she's like, I. But I love how she's like, and again, okay, I have an issue because she goes in the beginning of the movie, like when it starts acting up the mirror again. She's like, okay,
Mhm.
this is where it's acting up to because she can see like the plants stop dying like a certain point
Yeah,
of the
she has like a
house.
radius. Yeah.
Yes. Why she has her fiance, who's so sweet and so understanding, um,
Uh-huh.
Michael, when she has him call her like on the hour, she got mad because she called him like he called her like 7 minutes late once. She's like, motherfucker, call me on time. But
Yeah.
why wouldn't you have him if there's a radius stand outside the house and just chill there and like hear for screams or something like instead of just calling you from work, like have him be
Mhm.
on the property so he can really
I
keep an eye
know.
on you
Well, that
because
was
that
part of the
leads yeah
safeguards that I
I
don't
know
cuz like her pocket's in her phone's in her pocket, I
right.
mean, and she's in the room with the mirror. So,
Right. I mean, yet
like
again, I know he
of
ends up coming and it
course.
doesn't end well for him. But if he was
Yeah.
there the whole time, like outside,
Yeah.
at least
Uh-huh.
before it started, he can get a sense of like what was maybe going on inside. But like him just calling
Yeah.
every hour, because clearly at a certain point she was gonna stop answering because this mirror was gonna do some shit, and he would go
Mhm.
race to her aid because he's a great fiance, and unfortunately, not gonna end well, dude. You're gonna get killed. But maybe if
Yeah.
he was there outside the whole time, he could like I feel like she should have explained the scenario to her brother and him, like
Well, I don't
outside.
think he was aware of any of this.
No, he wasn't because she pretty
She
much
hid it
told him
from
to
him.
call. She was telling him to call in the hour because she told him
She
like in
didn't.
case my brother's gonna act out and do something to me. She didn't mention the
Yeah.
mirror. She didn't mention any of that, which
And again, like
I
that's
don't know.
fucked up, dude. So like
All right,
you're now telling your fiance that you don't trust yourself with your brother. So that like so even if they do make it out of this
right.
movie alive, both of them, spoiler alert, they don't.
They don't.
And even if everything's fine, you now have your fiance like kind of scared of your brother because you set that up that he's like you don't feel comfortable with him. Like it's
Right.
just all very I totally agree with you. It's not a very appealing character, and I know it's on purpose, but some of the things she does, it's like, really, girl? Like, you think this is gonna work, and you think this is like the best way to do
It's she
this?
poor planning, girl. Very poor planning.
And poor
Um,
Tim, because he's
I
trying
know.
to plead with her, and but like he's literally fresh out of incarceration
I
at this
do
mental
love that. Like,
facility.
I like that her character's like this because, like I said, I like the balance of how like he's pleading with her, but she's just like so determined to like no, like I need to prove this. Like I need to do this for my family legacy. I do like that Mike Flanagan did that. I just think it makes her a little unlikable in how she does it. But I like that like contrast because I that's the emotional part of the movie between them. You know, they're pleading with each
Mhm.
other to one wants,
Yeah,
Tim wants her to
I
believe
think it
him,
was
vice versa.
intentional too to
It
kind of
was.
get
So
to
it's not
that
her.
point.
It's This isn't
Like they
Karen
could
Gillan.
have,
I'm not talking about
no,
Karen Gillan.
no,
I'm talking about the character.
they could have did it subtly, but it would have, I think, dragged the movie out a bit. It
Right.
kind of gives you, her character straight away, and it lets us get into the action kind of quicker
Right.
that way.
Let's talk
But
about Marie. Let's talk about Katie Sackhoff because
okay,
damn, she's the MVP man for me. She's so fucking good.
so she
So
gets, yeah, go ahead. You want to
I
finish
just
your
want to give
thought?
like the little setup of like so in the beginning of the movie, it's really the dad who gets it first, and she slowly gets it because she peeks in here and there. She thinks she hears him talking to someone. She's like, "Who are you talking to?" And they clearly have like a not an unhealthy marriage, but they have issues. Like there's something going on. There's tension. Um,
Mhm.
and then one day when the kids are outside like playing whatever, like tag, whatever, um, Kaylee she peeks in and she sees someone. Like she sees him in there with she thinks she sees a woman in there. So at dinner one night she's like, "Dad, who was that woman in your office?" And Marie's like, "Yeah, who the fuck was that woman in your office, bro?" And it just plants a seed in her head. And then I love how like unfortunately when Marie starts going more crazy, she starts believing it more. And then it leads to that one night when she initially, goes insane and attacks the kids. And then the fucking dad,
Mhm.
instead of taking her out to like a hospital, he like locks her and chains her up. But it's just Katie
Yeah.
Sackhoff for physical performance before she literally tries to kill them in the end when she like starts eating the glass and like the creepy crawl. And she does most of her stunts because in the special features Mike Flanagan said, every day when we would wrap, she would come up and we would just see new bruises on her because she's such a physical performance. She really is. She gave her all in this movie. I just love the way she went from wanting to start fresh in this new house to like slowly. I mean, I don't love it because it's pretty sad and depressing, but she's like slowly, almost like deteriorating as a human, and because the mirror is playing with her and her husband's, playing with
Well, I
her
want to
too.
bring that up because to me it wasn't that slow because like unlike Alan, who the mirror is in his office, like he's spending hours and hours with the mirror. She
Right.
only gets like a few quick encounters with the mirror before she turns like completely batshit. So
Yeah.
I
Well, it's the
wonder
well. That's where the
that
mental aspect comes in. Like, is it her
yeah,
mental illness because of
I
all this,
wonder
or
yeah, I wonder uh, at this point we're assuming that the mirror is real. If it is
right?
real and it does have powers, like how it works, because like we know it affects animals. They said like because the dog
Right.
disappeared, it obviously eats the, I guess it eats them. I think that's what the term
Consumes
Kaylee
them like because
uses.
there's the
Um, but
enticing them. Yeah.
contrast that with the parents. So Marie pretty much, like I said, she has a few quick glimpses with the mirror, and then she has that one scene where it like completely turns her, and she attacks the kids. Alan is completely like he's totally Jack Torrance in this movie, like
Yes, I
just
love that though.
slowly
Yeah.
deteriorating. Me too. But the kids are not as affected, and
Well, because
they
they don't really
still
go in there as much. They don't really
they
go in
don't
there.
go in there as much, but they do encounter the mirror, and they
Yeah, I
do
love the
go
scene when they're
near
with
the
the
bedroom
and
or
it's
the
the last
office.
night. I love when they're going there like we have to end it. We have to like destroy it. They go in the golf clubs and they think they're hitting the mirror, but the mirror is making them hit the wall. So clever, so
Yeah.
clever.
I wonder if kids are more resilient to its powers because they were able to kind of not go completely crazy right away.
I think the allegory
So
there was like the mirror wanted to destroy like the head of the family to turn the family on the kids and really wanted the family to go after and kill the kids,
yeah, and
the
that's another
parents.
thing. Like, what's the mission of the mirror? There
Consumed.
really
Well,
is
we
no.
should mention also Kaylee in the beginning. She spent, you said, what was she doing? She spent all these years researching because she delivers to Tim that little monologue about, like, this happened in 18, whatever, this happened in 19, whatever. And she, like, says, you know, every like owner had like an
Everyone who
animal.
owned it,
Yeah,
yeah.
had an animal who go missing, and they ended up dead in some weird circumstance. So like she researched this shit, and she's just giving him this whole monologue. This poor guy's like, dude, I just left the hospital yesterday. What the fuck? And
Yeah,
I'm
I love at
here.
the end of all that, he's just like, yeah, yeah, no, that
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous. And
Yeah,
she's like, you don't
he's like,
believe
"There's
me?
an
He's like, no.
explanation." Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. He's like, "There's a practical explanation." She's like, "No, no, no. I do like her facts, but so that's she literally spent her whole life obsessing over this, which I do feel for her in that
Mhm.
aspect. It's just, girl, you had all these years to plan too, and that was your plan. It didn't end well for you. It did not end well for you. We should also say, because this has to do with the ending. She, when they went to the house, she explained to him, her plan about videotaping before it really got crazy, and she goes, after we get the evidence, I have a kill switch, which is pretty much just like anchor she has that she plans to knock down and like go into the actual mirror to destroy it. That's her plan. This huge anchor, which comes back into play. Oh, it comes back into play at the end of this movie. But yeah. So it's just I love. Can we talk about the parallels too? How do you like the parallel like aspect of the movie where it keeps going back and forth? I loved it until the ending. Not till the ending. I just wish the
Until
ending
the ending,
was
yeah.
At which the ending we really went back to see what happened like straight through instead of going back and forth, because it would have made me a little more uneasy of the tension with the mom going after him and the dad going a little crazy. It just would have built it up more for me.
No, I like it. I like the technique too, because as
Oh my god, my thing is talking to me. There's some
you
mirror shit in
see,
here.
I hate when that happens. Oh, now mine's going off because I said the word. That's funny.
Oh shit, let me
Um,
look for some mirrors.
what, what was I saying?
Just about
I
I want to
like
talk
that.
about the parallels,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the parallels because as they go through the house and he revisits the different rooms, it's he's reliving those moments, and then we relive the moments by going back in time. So I
Yes.
like that technique, and it slowly reveals the past. You know me, I'm a backstory guy, so I like how it slowly reveals more and more as the movie goes on, and
Right.
I thought the flashbacks were my favorite parts of this movie. Like I said, the kid versions of Kaylee and Tim were really cool. Obviously, you talked about Katie Sackhoff. The dad was
Yes.
creepy, but I would have liked this movie as a straight up ghost story if it was all flashback. You know what I mean? If it didn't have, I do like the added touch of having them trying to exonerate and everything. But
Right.
this could have worked as just like a straight up movie, and that would have been intense.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I do like it a lot. I like how they go back and forth. Sometimes
Right.
it kind of fucks with you too because you're not quite
On
sure where you
purpose, yeah.
are. Yeah, on purpose, and you're like, oh shit, like that was pretty intense. Yeah.
It's just I love when after the dad chains up Marie, the mom, in the room, and then like Kaylee and Tim, they're like, we need to get help. We need to help mom. So they want to go help her. And then when Kaylee goes in there, she finds her chained to the wall, and she's like literally acting like an animal. Like I said, she's like eating glass. Her teeth are falling out. Um, so they actually try to get help. The kids are smart. They try to go to the neighbors for help, but the neighbors don't even believe them. First of all, shame on the neighbors. At least call like DYFUS or like something. Like do something. But they don't even believe him. And then
I know.
Kaylee actually tries to use the phone, but it's like this same man, like the same voice that keeps answering the phone. It's very
Mhm.
creepy. But then, well, let's just get to. So Alan like ends up unchaining Marie because he's completely overtaken by this mirror and whatever entities in the mirror. And Kate Segal plays Marisol, who's like the evil lady who they thought Kaylee thought she saw him with another woman, like cheating on. So
Yeah.
that's like Kate Segal's role in the movie. But so the last night, Alan unchains Marie, the mom, and both parents like obviously attack the children, and it's very like I said, um, Katie Sackhoff, the way she like her movement, it's just damn so good, so unsettling, and it's
Hmm.
almost just like I said, because that's where it's like, are these parents mentally ill, and it is there
Well,
have they
that's
had do they have a history of child abuse and domestic abuse? It's just
uh
so
huh.
much is going through my head because I'm thinking about the supernatural, also thinking about like how many families in real life like have these fucked up scenarios where they're just fucking crazy and they end up harming their each other and unfortunately their kids. It's like this is a real life thing that happens. Obviously not the ghost, but he's trying to say some things about real life and tragedy.
Mhm.
So it's a lot that's going on. But I love when she's attacking the kids and she briefly actually comes back to her senses, as in like the actual mom, and she's just so sad, and she's just like, "Kaylee, Kaylee." I just love that scene where she comes back to herself, but then of course Alan shoots her and kills her. It just made Mike Flanagan was like, "How do I make this more depressing for them, for the viewers? How do I make it more depressing? Let's just have her come back to reality for a minute, just to be killed off and shot by Alan." I'm like, "Oh, oh, gets me every time." But then I do also love, the kids. They try to destroy the mirror, and then the mirror makes them believe they're hitting the mirror, but they're hitting the wall. It's so good. And then Alan also comes back to himself, and he's the one who puts his finger on the trigger, but he makes it's like Tim's hands on the trigger, but Alan's the one who has to pull it because Tim doesn't want to kill his dad, but Alan makes him do it because he doesn't want to kill his kids. I'm like, oh, again, this is so Mike Flanagan, heartbreaking. He wants to rip your heart out as much as he can, but I do love that before the parents both die and like in between attacking them, they both come to and they're like, "Oh fuck," and then they both
Mhm.
tragically die. I like stuff like that. I like it. It makes it more
Yeah.
emotional for me.
I personally, we'll just get into it. I personally think that the mirror is real.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
It is.
but I
Yeah.
don't think, but I think the whole point of the movie is it doesn't matter, right? I mean, whether or not it's real or enough or not, their parents went insane and like the trauma was real.
Right.
And Tim was able to process that because he had help and Kaylee was not. The one thing that like when watching this over
Well, he
again
was.
that
Do
I
you think he
had
was able to
little
process it? I'm sorry. Do you think he was able to process it, or do you think he hid it away? I think he kind of just
um
pushed it.
I think they definitely made him um be a little bit more like less supernatural about everything,
Well,
but
yeah, because
I think he did process it because to him, because like I said, even after he realized that something was going on in the house with the mirror, like with and not the flashback kid, like the
right,
older Tim, even after he realized that, he still wasn't like completely hell bent like Kaylee. He was still trying to like
right.
you know protect his sister, and like he didn't really care about like the past and the parents because he was able to process everything and realize like yeah, the mirror's real, but like we still went through that like terrible trauma.
I
Like,
know.
I think the whole theme was like, does it really matter if it's real or not? Like
Right,
these poor kids.
right.
But
They are
what I was gonna
mentally
say was the
affected
one
forever.
exactly. Some longer than others, but at the end of this movie, because one doesn't exist. But when Maria's chained up, she's chained up like all the way upstairs, like in a
And
completely
locked in a room,
different part of
a
the
dark,
house,
pitch
and
black room. Yeah.
than the mirror. And like, part of me thinks she's so far away from the mirror, and she's still like completely batshit crazy. That's the only part of me that thinks maybe it was mental illness, or maybe the mirror brings out the mental
Well,
illness,
yeah,
and it's
definitely. I
because you
think that
think she
at
was
that
so
point,
far away
though,
from the mirror for so long that
right.
maybe she could have
But that's the
came
cool part
back.
about
But
it because he almost makes the audience like question throughout the entire movie, like, what are you on the side of like they're crazy or is there supernatural shit? I like that. But
mhm.
in the defense of both, I could say, she could be on a mental trip and going, insane. Or I think because throughout the movie the happenings have increased, the mirror increased its radius throughout the
Yeah,
house. So
because
that's
you see
my
that it does do
explanation
that
for
when it gets
both.
stronger.
So, but there's
Okay,
explanations for
yeah,
both,
but it's that seed of doubt that
right? But
that's yeah.
purposeful.
Oh, of
That he
course,
plants that
yeah.
in your head. I want to just run through like the past because we talked about the past, and I want to cut to the beginning, the ending, because it's just I know it happens at the
Okay.
same time in the movie, but we can't. It's too messy to talk about at the same time. So Tim pulls the trigger and kills his dad.
Hmm.
But as he's dying, he begs them to run and get out. And it's sad because he doesn't get to see his kids escape to safety. Neither of the parents do. So, like, for all the parents know is that their kids were also killed by the mirror and they couldn't help their own kids. So it's just
Yeah.
very sad stuff, people. Very sad stuff. But after he begs them to run, they can't because Marisol, Kate Segal, and all the old ghosts who have been taken by the mirror, they're popping up right in front of them. They corner them. So then the cops arrive and the siblings are separated, but Tim is taken away because he killed his dad. but they promise and they yell to each other. They're like, promise me, no matter what, as adults, we'll come back and we'll destroy this mirror. So Tim's taken away. He's put behind bars. But as he's taken away in the car as a kid, he sees his mom and dad as ghosts in the window, which is so
Mm-hmm.
fucking Hill House, so Hill House. But he sees them in the mirror as he drives away, so good. But in back in 2013, obviously Tim's all in now. He believes, and they're trying to escape the house, but they're brought back in. I love how they go outside the house, but they're really not outside the house. That's so cool how Mike
Mm-hmm.
Flanagan like filmed that because the mirror obviously made them believe that. So Kaylee, she sees a hallucination of her mother, and I also love the scene when she's eating the apple. Well, she thinks she's eating the apple, but then she's like they show her eating glass. The mirror is just fucking with her. She's
The
actually
light
is
bulb,
eating.
yeah.
Yeah, the light bulb. She's actually eating the apple. That was so
Yeah.
disturbing. But I
Yeah.
love when she sees the hallucination of her mother. This is when her fiance comes back into play. She stabs it in the neck, but she really stabbed her fiance in the neck, and she killed her fucking fiance. More trauma for her. So he actually came to check on her in person because he's such a good dude because she wasn't answering his phone calls, even though the mirror made her believe that she was answering the phone calls. It's so fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
So fucked up. So they try to call the police, but they only reach that same voice from when she was a kid. Um, and they also see that from the outside, they see their doppelgangers like inside the house in front of the mirror. So they're like, "Holy shit, is that real? Like, are we gonna get killed by that kill switch together, or like, are we real out here?" They don't know what's real. It's just so cool. Um, so they go backside the house and they start hallucinating and seeing younger versions of themselves, and they obviously get separated. Which I'm like, don't split up. What's the podcast called? Never split up. But they get separated. They split up, and they almost each relive their trauma as like their younger selves. And Tim, he awakens in the room alone with the mirror, and Kaylee hallucinates her mother in the mirror, like calling her to come to the mirror. And unfortunately, she's walking towards the mirror and she's embracing her mom as she's seeing it in her head. And Tim activates the kill switch, thinking he sees, he doesn't think Kaylee's there, and he activates the kill switch, and he realizes too late, and fucking kills Kaylee. So Tim kills his sister. Oh, I fucking love this ending. It's so good. And the police arrive the same way they did when he was a kid. He's hysterical, and they take him away again. And I love in the movie how they film it. He's screaming like as a kid, and as an adult, he's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the mirror. It was the mirror." It's so good. And again, Brenton Thwaites, he's so good when he's screaming. He's like, this poor, poor guy just killed his sister after trying to get over all this trauma, and he's just screaming. He's like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the mirror." Right then and there, like the mirror, the evil one, the mirror one. He's never coming out of wherever he's going. He's like locked away forever.
Yeah.
And I just love how he's. I love the screams. It's so good in the music. It's so good. But I love how as he's driven away, when he's a kid, he sees his two parents in the mirror in the window. But now he sees as an adult his two parents and his sister staring at him, driving away. Like, shit, we didn't win. The mirror won. And again, it's so Hill House. So, but I love, love, love this ending. It's so dark. Guys, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I like unhappy endings, and it's so dark. It's brutal, man. It's just so good. So I really enjoy this movie. Like I said, my nitpick is I like how they end it on the parallel with him screaming as a kid, as an adult. But I wish the last night, as kids, I wanted to see that play out in full because I wanted the tension to keep rising and rising and rising. And I do think another little nitpick. I think the mirror could have done maybe had a few more like extended sequences of tension and terror before because like you said it did happen pretty quick, all of it.
Yeah.
Like the dad and mom pretty went crazy pretty quick. Maybe a couple more scenes
Yeah.
of them. You know, I want more
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more build up. But other than that, really enjoyed this one. It's very 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 good Mike Flanagan movie. Let's get your thoughts on the ending. Let's get into that. It's just
Yeah,
yeah.
real quick, when you said that they go outside and they call the police, and remember it's the same
Yes.
person on the phone, so They do call the police. They do
Well, because the
successfully
police end
report
up coming.
because they
Yeah,
end up coming. So I just wanted to point that out because you said that you made it sound like they was the mirror like fucking with them, but they were successful. And I love that scene too, where the mirror fucks with them and they think they're outside the house, but they're not sure, and then
and they
they
see
see each
themselves
other
inside. It's so
themselves in
good.
the
It's
house.
so
Yeah, that's cool. I know what you're saying about the extended scene, the extended night. I would have liked that too, because like I said, that's the highlight for this movie for me is the flashback scene. So getting that extended sequence would have been fun, but I know why they did it, kind of like
no,
what
I
you
know,
said,
and I like the
and
parallel. I
it
just
makes the
wish
kill, it makes
I know
Kaylee's
more
kill
shocking.
that much more shocking because it's you're in the delusion of both of them, and it's cutting back and forth, and then you see the mom in the mirror, and once you see Kaylee like going towards her mom, like you pretty much are like,
Don't do
oh
that.
fuck, and you're screaming at Tim like, don't fucking do it. And then Tim, I don't remember. So what does Tim see at the very end that makes him say, all right, fuck it, and
It's I think it's
he
Marisol.
switches the
It's
timer?
Marisol. It's the creepy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the creep.
So
Kate
he thinks
Siegel.
that
Yeah,
all right, they succeeded. They got the fucking ghost to come out into the mirror, right?
and
So then
he's
he
ready to
just
end it.
he
Yeah, and it's
he
so
fucking
tragic because you can see when he's looking in
I
the
love
video.
the I love when they like when the cops are watching it back, seeing
Yeah,
like the CCTV or
yeah.
whatever footage of it and just seeing her just getting impaled.
They're like, yeah, look, he
And
fucking killed his. And it's annoying because they say like he killed his dad years ago, and now he killed his sister. I'm like, oh, this guy he just can't catch a break. And
one of the little moments in the ending too that was revealed that I really like because um if you haven't listened to this podcast before, I'm a big bad guy, villain guy. So the villain in this is the mirror, obviously.
right,
Um, I like learning more about the mirror and learning more about the villains. We get the flashback of the gun being uh used on the dad, and it creates the crack, the hairline crack
yes, in the
in the
corner
mirror
of it.
because it ricochets off the
Yep,
dad and goes and so we find out that the mirror is not indestructible
right.
um I because it thought it had a hold on Alan, but Alan in his final moment was able to pull the
He
trigger on
came to
himself, which the
right,
mirror wasn't expecting,
right.
and it was able to crack the mirror. So the mirror can be
Well,
broken,
that's why she
it
had that
seems,
plan
and
of the
it
kill
can
switch
be
because it you
yeah,
have to be in a mental state for the mirror allow you to actually kill it.
yes,
It's very,
exactly. So
very. This is what I'm saying. It's a
really cool,
very
and it kind
cool
of opened it
concept,
up
man. This is a cool
it
concept.
opened it up to a sequel too because you kind of got a little bit of insight
Mirror
into
One.
how the mirror operates and stuff, but
I
maybe we'll
really
get
like
like
this
a
concept.
legacy sequel or something with Tim. Yeah.
So let me actually. I want to just say, because I watched Mike Flanagan talk about the ending. And
Hmm.
he says like
Yeah, I want to hear more
he
about that.
loves his horror movies where like the heroine or the protagonist like they vanquish evil in the end. He goes, I don't, and about this movie, like about the ending, like it's people are gonna either like they're gonna leave, like it's not you don't leave like in a cheery like oh that was a fun horror movie. You're like oh my god, this is depressing. He says I don't believe that evil always wins, but I do believe that evil is a force in this world that is very difficult to defeat. I'm like, whew, Mike Flanagan, you're giving me chills when you speak. It's like, and he also
It
says
sounds like he speaks very poetically.
yes, and
Yeah.
he also says that I want people to go to see this movie as a horror movie, but if I can also have a little deeper meaning, all those allegories that I mentioned earlier, that's what I took from it, but also that think about like is there's a darkness inside of all of us. Is it a part of us or does it come from somewhere else? I'm like,
Hmm.
damn, what good. He's a storyteller, man. But I thought that was very interesting. His comment about the ending about evil, and then about the darkness inside of all of us. That's what it really is. It's about the darkness inside us because it's
Hmm.
brought out. So it's so interesting, and he's such a good storyteller, man. I really enjoyed it, and like you said, it's not your typical which I love. It's not your typical supernatural horror movie. It's deep. It's a very deep movie, and I do appreciate it a lot. Even though I have like the little nitpick about, I wish it went a little further, tension wise. But yeah, man, this is good stuff. But I love Mike Flanagan's style. I do love it, even though it gets me emotional every time.
This movie honestly could have been longer, and I don't really say that very often with
Right.
especially horror movies, but because
Didn't
we get the
drag.
back and forth.
Yeah,
No, not at all. But because we get the back and forth the whole time, um, it would have been nice to explore those characters a little bit deeper, especially like the parents and stuff. Like you said, like they kind of not rushed it, but they kind of just went
right.
straight to the point right away. And they could have honestly, I mean, really, this could have been two movies
Right.
almost. You know, they could have like
I
did
think
like
he
a
would have done
companion
that too, but
movie.
he's like, oh, it's a studio horror movie. We have to have it, like,
Hmm.
hour and 40 minutes
But yeah,
tops, blah blah blah. But yeah, so I just thought it was interesting how he comments on like stuff like that, like behind, like when he's talking about his movies, how passionate he is about all these themes. Very cool.
mhm.
But yeah, I like my
Oh,
dark
and
ending.
like you
I
said
love
in the
it.
beginning, he's brilliant at bringing those into his movies, but not shoving it down our
Yeah,
throats
and
and
I hate
making us
when
feel
movies do
stupid.
that. I hate that.
And he's a master at character driven stories.
Yep.
And we've talked about this before. I believe I said horror is, I think, the best medium to explore characters.
So many different
When they're
avenues.
when they're faced with death and evil, like how do they respond, and how does the human mind respond? You see the huge contrast. Kaylee's character, the character of Kaylee is very off-putting at first, but especially when you watch this movie multiple times, you see like the stark contrast
Right.
between her and Tim, and it's really effective. Um, I like this movie a lot too. I really love the characters. Um,
I
the
was
mirror
very
is
satisfied on my
super
rewatch.
creepy.
Very
It would have
satisfied.
been cool. It would have been cool if we got a little bit more of
I
Marisol.
agree.
I thought like she was cool looking, like really
I
creepy
almost
looking.
wish, like, I mean,
We could have
I'm
got
going so to
not
Hill
like jump
House,
scares,
but
but we
maybe
could have
like
got
if one
more.
night the kids were sleeping and like they woke up and she was just like standing up over their bed
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm
She
bringing in
really
Hill House too
doesn't
much.
leave the office
Right.
really in the movie, and it would have been cool to have her haunting the
Which I
kids
get,
and the
but
whole
yeah.
house and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool. But yeah, I
yeah.
think overall, if anyone wants to get a little taste of Mike Flanagan's style of horror, this is a great starting point.
Yes.
Oculus.
Cool. Yeah, cool movie. Definitely. And it's his starting point in
Right.
terms of his career pretty
Right.
much. So
His
it's a
career,
good
like
it's a good
big
place to
Hollywood career, yeah, yeah.
mhm.
All right, cool. I thought that, yeah, yeah. This movie, I was very satisfied on my rewatch. I will say, very satisfied.
Yeah, and you said it. I mean, nobody's gonna walk out of this movie saying this was a fun movie, but to me, like dark endings are fun, so I'm a little twisted in that
I'm just
sense.
like, I
So,
love being like
you
down
know,
on it. I love a downer ending that like works because
yeah,
it
I
works with
just
this
love
story.
when filmmakers go there and they're not afraid
Yeah,
to go there.
yeah, I
So I
agree.
really applaud. I really applaud Mike Flanagan for that. So, all right, cool. So that's Oculus. So we pretty much touched on everything.
Yeah, we did. It was good.
Yeah. Why don't we get into? I guess we'll do our never split ups moments. We'll get into
Okay,
that. You can go first.
okay. So, all right. Clearly, I said I have an issue with Kaylee. So I don't know what my issue is. She brings her brother. She throws him into it right away. I don't know. You can tell me if you want to accept this or not. I'm either gonna
Okay.
go with, if I can go overall like Kaylee poor planning. That's my never split up. But if you want me to do like a specific moment, I'm either gonna. I might go with the fact that either the fiance thing or that her
Okay.
she brings her brother to the family house right away instead of like, okay, maybe one day you come out of the hospital and like I give you little like hints of what I plan. Maybe the next day, like, okay, this is my actual plan. Maybe a week later, like, let's go to the house. Like,
They do touch on that because she does say they only have the one night before the
what
mirror gets shipped
I know,
off.
but I'm like, girl, like,
Technically,
you could
I
have prepped
know
him a little bit. Like,
you had
you're
10 years
throwing all
to
this
plan.
shit.
I know.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
so let me know if you accept Kaylee poor planning. If not, I'll just go with the fiance not like waiting outside the house. If you don't accept the poor planning, like she didn't have him outside the house rather
Yeah,
than
I think.
calling
I mean, we can
every
we
hour.
can accept anything, but yeah. I mean, it's really up to you. To me, when I think of the never split up moment, I'm thinking of like a moment in the movie where I'm saying
Yeah,
like you're dumb.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if you
yeah,
do
yeah.
want to go with like her explaining her plan at the beginning
Yeah, I'll do
and
that.
saying
Maybe
she's
that
dumb,
like
like
she didn't
yeah,
that scene, it's like she's throwing the history of the like yeah, maybe it's just like Kaylee's throwing everything at Tim in that scene. It's just too
no
much at once.
subtlety. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. It's like in your face
yeah.
too.
That's
Like I know
that's
you just
perfectly
came out
fine. You
of a
can pick
mental
that.
hospital, but like here it is, man. So that's gonna be my moment because it's just too
Okay.
much and she doesn't understand that she's in one headspace, but not everyone's in her headspace. it's just it doesn't work like that for everybody. So that's my never split up
Mm.
moment. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I was
cool.
gonna
I
go
actually
with
have.
something with the like actual family in the house. I'm like, oh, it's too tragic for me. I actually pick that.
Yeah, I have two different moments. One of them being the kid version of Kaylee and Tim. Um,
Okay,
just I was screaming at them to like go get help, and they got the neighbors' help, but that wasn't
but
enough.
they didn't.
I
Yeah,
was hoping that they like called the police or like went to the police station or just ran away from home in general. But I'm not gonna go with that because they're kids and they
well,
did
then
go to a neighbor and they did try. So
they're
I do
kids.
give them
They're
credit.
kids.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna go with it's a little twist here on our never split up moment. I'm gonna go with the moment where I think they should have split up and they didn't split up.
Reverse never split up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, a reverse
okay,
because when you think about the mirror and how it plays out, so we talked about the scene where they leave the house and they're
right.
outside the
Yeah, they
house on the
leave. Right,
lawn and they're calling the police. I touched on it that it is a real you find out it is a real phone call.
right.
Sorry. Um
Eventually, it is. Yeah,
I
eventually, it's a
think
real phone call. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I think the best strategy there was to split up. Have someone um run down the street, just fucking keep going. Like get as far away from the house as possible, and then they have the other person go into the house and try to fucking like reset the timer because that was what their main because
Right,
they
right,
see themselves in front of the anchor, so they're like,
right. They
"Fuck!
see
If
their
this isn't real, then
doppelgangers. Right,
we're
right,
about
right.
to die." So I think the best strategy was to not stay together, but to split up and have one person stay outside the house because if that's real, then that person's safe
Right.
and they can go get help and stuff. But if that's not real, then the other person can go reset the timer and try to like save the
Interesting.
both of them. So
See,
I'm gonna go with that
there's
moment.
only Mike Flanagan can make you go against the name of our podcast and do a reverse never split
Yes,
up. That's how you know this
yes,
dude is
yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm not saying I would have thought of that if I were them. I mean, that's me
Yeah.
having the benefit of watching this movie
Right.
multiple
You're not
times,
in their
but
situation.
no,
But
definitely
that's
not.
cool. I like that. Yeah, dude. And just I love Mike Flanagan, man. It's just he's genius. That's cool though. I like
Yeah.
that. How you like flip the whole or what our podcast
Cuz
is on its head.
yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right,
Awesome.
so
So let's get
that
into
was
the
the easy
scores then.
part. This is the
Yeah.
hardest part. All right, can I hear your
I
score first? Because I want to hear. Yeah, let me just hear it.
I was hoping you'd go first. Yeah,
I don't
okay.
because I'm in between something like two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in between.
Okay. Man. Every time we talk about these movies and we do reviews, if I like the movie, I always like it a little bit more after we talk about it. So my score is going to bump up a bit from what I originally thought it was going to be because this is why we started this podcast,
Right.
right? Just talking through these movies and doing these reviews and getting a different perspective.
Yeah.
You brought up a couple different points that I didn't really think about. So I'm going to give this movie a solid, it's not an all-timer for me, but it's just
No,
a
me either.
solid movie. It's got a good ending, the performances are good. This is tough. I'm going to give this movie a 7.9.
Okay. Wow, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, 7.9.
Okay.
Just on the
Wow.
cusp of being like really great, you
Okay.
know.
Awesome. Okay. It's like guys, this scoring part is way harder for me than these never split up moments. It drives me crazy. I just because it's hard.
Yeah.
I think that this is the type of movie for people who like to go into like the darkness of almost like humanity and like darkness besides the typical horror jump out. Like this is dark stuff. And I like that. And I love the way Mike Flanagan presents it. Actually you made me want to bump up my score too because I don't know, I just talking about it, it just this is a
I
really and
know.
this
I
is one of
know.
his like this is genius shit for like an earlier movie of his. Like I can't wait till we
I
talk about
just
his
think
other
that
stuff.
especially the time it came out, 2013. I mean, we were riddled with a ton of ghost
And it was
stories
something
for
different.
horror movies,
It
and it
was
was
a ghost
all
story, but
popcorn. And
different. Yeah.
this was really different and really stands out for me above the others. So
Okay, I'm going to, and I mean, like I said, the cast is amazing. Katie Sackhoff, like, I don't know why she didn't get more. She should be like way more horror movies. She was in another movie, like I forget what it was called, but just really should have like she should be in like so many movies because she has the fucking acting chops. But anyway, even like the guy, I don't know what he's in now, but he was good. The son,
He's in stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I think he's in like a DC
I
show, but
think the
whatever.
the kid, Garrett Ryan. I think he was in Insidious
Okay, yeah, I
or
don't know,
something.
but
The
it's so
kid.
hard for me
Yeah.
because I love the story, I love everything. It's just I wish that we got a little bit more like tension and like
Hmm.
stayed in certain scenes a little longer or sequences, I should say, rather than scenes. I'm gonna
Hmm.
give it. I'm gonna give it a 7.8.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Very
Cool.
good intro
Yeah,
to
the
Mike
Garrett
Flanagan's
Ryan.
filmography.
He plays young Josh Lambert in Insidious 2.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Insidious 3. I
Oh, we
just
will
looked
be
them up.
getting to that franchise. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. 7.8 and I have a 7.9, so we're pretty much right there.
Yeah,
Right
I mean,
there.
we can't
Cool.
go wrong with. I mean, but guys, Mike Flanagan. If you like horror, but you also like characters and a good story, you really got to check out his filmography. You're not going to go
Mhm.
wrong. You're not. So this
Yeah.
is the first. I can't wait to. Now we have something to look forward to with Mike Flanagan. We can cover all of
Oh
his
yeah.
shit.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, and this isn't even my favorite
Oh no,
one
no,
of his projects by
no.
far. So, just a little taste of what's in store. This is a very good movie, but this is just kind of scratching the surface of what he's capable
He's getting
of.
the feel in this
And
movie. He's getting the feel for his craft.
yeah, yeah. All right, awesome. 7.8, 7.9. So, before we wrap things up, do you want to announce next week we will be doing another review episode?
Yeah, I'm blanking because I forget what we talked about already.
I'll announce it.
Yeah,
No
that's it.
problem. We are going to return of the world to the world of Jordan
Oh
Peele.
yeah. See,
We're
I got
doing
wrapped up in
Us.
this movie, man.
Yes,
I got
yeah,
wrapped up.
yeah. We're doing Us. We covered Get Out. Check out the Get Out episode about, I don't know, it was like 5 or 6 episodes ago, I think.
So
Um,
was that were we on YouTube yet for that one?
yeah,
Okay,
we
okay,
were. It was
okay.
one of our
All right.
first YouTube, so it was like our second or third one. Yeah. So check that out on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The Get Out episode. We're going to be covering Jordan Peele's second feature
Yes.
length movie called Us. So that should be cool. And then after Us, we have Nope.
Right.
And then we'll do, I guess, our ranking.
I was gonna say
And we'll do like a special episode where we talk about all
yes.
three movies.
Yes. Make sure you
Yeah.
guys watch the Get Out episode and then to prep for us because after we cover Nope, either at the end of that episode we'll do a quick episode after that because we
Hmm.
both and watch our top 10 of 2022 episode because we're both going to have different thoughts and rankings for Jordan Peele, so it'll be a good back
Hmm.
and forth for these
And
movies.
that'll we'll spread that out, and that'll lead us into his next movie that's coming out.
Yes, it
I
was
guess like
announced like
in a
last
year and a
week.
half.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
like Christmas
December of
2024.
24.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll
So
be cool.
us man, oh I cannot wait.
Yeah,
That score. Talk about scores. Whew.
but until then, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at neversplituppod. You can also find us on Facebook, Never Split Up Podcast. We're going to be posting these Never Split Up polls throughout the week. Just look out for them. We're going to post it on Twitter. We're going to post it on Spotify. It has a poll section, and you can even comment if you're a YouTube listener
Oh yeah,
and you
yeah.
don't
Comment.
have Twitter or whatever. You can even comment your favorite movie, and we'll tally that into the poll. Don't be afraid to give us a comment and let us know if you have different moments that you like
All right.
from the movie and how you like the ending. If you
And
thought
give
the
us
ending
your
was cool,
score. I want to
definitely.
hear people's scores about the movies too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely. Okay, yeah. So that's about it. Check us out on all of our socials and look out for the poll. Until next time, when we cover Us, this is the Never Split Up Podcast, episode 21. I'm Nolan, that's Anthony, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks.